What's going on, guys? Today in today's video we're gonna be going over how a compound bow works, how to shoot one, and yeah, the basics. Alrighty, let's go. Okay, so basically how a compound bow works is you have a long string attached to two cables right here, and the arrow sits right here in between this this little notch, and it sits on this rest here. And so basically how it works is you pull it back like this, and you can see how at the top and the bottom, the two cables, there's two sort of like pulleys at the top and the bottom, and they basically holds the load of the compound bow. And so right now I have this set to 60 pounds of force, but basically what the pulleys do is that they reduce it so that instead of when you're fully drawn, instead of holding 60 pounds, which is really tough, you're only holding about like 25, so it's like half. So yeah, all right. So the basic anatomy of a compound bow is you first have your sight. You can see it has multiple pins, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they're for different yardages. So if you want to shoot a target at 10 yards, then you aim at the first pin, and 20 yards, and so on. So, and then we also have something called a pull trigger handle, or it's basically called a release in short. And so basically how this works is you clip it onto here, and then when you're ready to pull, when you're at full draw and you're ready to pull, then you basically press on this button, and then it lets go of the bow and the arrow shoots forward. Then you have something called a whisker biscuit, which basically just holds the arrow in place, so that's like consistent every time. And then you have something called a stabilizer. This is made out of rubber. You can see it's kind of flexible, and so basically what its purpose is to try and like when you shoot the bow, it's supposed to like make it relatively stable so that you don't like do any rocking back motion. And finally we have the quiver. The quiver, as we all know, it's just like to hold arrows. Right now I have a broadhead arrow on mine, and this is like the sort of like hunting arrow. You wouldn't use these at targets because it would just leave a big gash in your target, and then you wouldn't be able to use it. So this is meant for just hunting. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention was the peep sight. And so basically, to get a consistent shot every time, when this string is fully pulled back at full draw, then this basically turns into like a window for you to look, for your eye to look through. And you can kind of see, like, of course, when it's lined up, then you'll see the sight looking through. It's kind of hard to demonstrate, but I'll put up a photo right now. So this bow that I have here is from a company called Bear Archery. And so basically they're an American company, and in the bow community, you'll see that like people don't like Chinese or Amazon bows because of their like poor quality control. So people recommend like American made stuff because it's like has a higher standard, especially with something like as dangerous as this, where like pieces can come flying off. So I got this bow about a year and a half ago, and I've been training ever since. A lot of people online, I was doing a bunch of research before I got the bow. A lot of people online said that you should like sign up for a class and stuff, but here in Virginia, like there's not a lot of people offering archery classes. Like not a lot of people have bows. So what I'd recommend is, honestly, it's not that daunting. The whole process of form and everything, you can learn it in like over like a month easily. So like that whole taking classes thing is completely useless. You don't have to burn any money on that. So basically how I learned was I just watched some YouTube videos. I'm gonna explain to you just in a sec how to shoot a bow. I watched some YouTube videos, and then I basically like critiqued myself, tried to make myself as consistent as possible, like every step that I'm about to explain, as consistent as possible. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so basically the first thing about safety is whenever you're holding a compound bow, you always want to be holding it downwards, making sure that the arrow, whenever you have an arrow inserted, it's always aiming at the ground. Another thing is to look at your surroundings, make sure that there's no like people walking around or any like animals moving around. And also also don't want to dry fire the bow. So basically dry firing is when I pull this entire string back. When I pull this string back and then I press the button to let go of the string, what that does, and if there's no arrow inserted at that time of letting go, then it basically just like smashes your bow. Basically the string goes into here, all the force goes into the pulley system and it jacks up the pulley system really bad. So that's something really dangerous. And one more thing is when you're holding the bow like this, right? When you're holding the bow, this string right here, which the arrow sits on, here, for example, as you can see the arrow sitting on the string. This string, when it's fully pulled back, it can hit my left forearm that's underneath the bow, underneath the arrow right now. And so when that hits, when 60 pounds all of a sudden hits really fast at your forearm, sometimes it leaves gashes, or like, not gashes, but it leaves like scars or imprints in your hands, on your forearm. So that's like something to be aware of. It hurts a lot. So basically, the first thing that you want to do when you're holding your bow for shooting is you want to grab your hand and place this like U shape in between your thumb and your index finger up against the handle, just like that. And then you want to have like a loose grip. You don't want to be clenching it like it's like a fist. You want to have a loose grip. And sometimes I'd like have my fingers like just moving around. So that's one. And number two is there's different types of releases. Like this one I have is like a push button release. But sometimes you have like a wrist strap release where it's like strapped to your wrist and it's like a trigger like on a gun kind of. This one's like a thumb trigger. You basically want to hold it up, make sure that nobody's in front of you, and then you want to hold it out front and try to use your back muscles to pull the bow. So you want to have your wrist sort of like upside down, or your hand upside down, where you can see the back side of your hand, and then pull back, and now you have it at full draw. So the beginning part, while I was pulling it back, was actually hard, but now that I have it at full draw, it's pretty easy to hold. And then my next step is to make sure that my hands are pretty loose, my fingers are loose. And this is where a anchor position comes into play. So an anchor position is basically a point on the bow. When you're at full draw, you basically want to, for example, for my thumb button, I have two anchor points. Number one is I hold the thing up till the edge of my jawbone, and I just hold it there, sort of like this. Like my fist is like going into my jawbone. And then another thing is I added is something called a kisser button. Basically, this is just a piece of string, and I just tied it on, and the whole point is to make it line up with this part of my mouth right here. This part right here. So, for example, when I pull back and I shove my fist into my jaw, and you can see how the kisser button is now touching my lip, the bottom lip, just like that. And so these are like some steps to make it more make your shooting more consistent. Another thing that you want to do is after you've gotten into your stance and you pull back and you're in position, you kind of want to like just relax. You don't want to like, I know in the beginning it's pretty tense, like you're holding such a strong weapon, but you just want to relax and basically just look through the peep sight. Can you come and see through the peep sight? Try to look through it. Can you see through? Okay, it's a little bit tough on camera, but what I'm seeing through is a peep sight and then my actual sight, the ones with the pins. And then I'm aiming it at the target, and then if I were to shoot, I'd shoot. I'd press the button and it'd just fly off. Okay, so here we have this target. I know it's in pretty horrendous condition. But we've had this thing for like a year, and it's made out of cardboard and foam. Basically what I did was I had a U-Haul box. You can see like the remnants of it. And then I had a bunch of cardboard from like this item that we bought. I forget what it was. And basically what I did was I cut the cardboard to size so that it fit inside the box. And I just like layer it. As you can see, there's so many layers of cardboard. And here's some foam. I had some foam laying around. Or I had some foam from the same product. And so I just stuffed that in. And so it's been holding up. I know like it's definitely like degrading and decomposing. So I'm gonna have to get a new one. But it's been good for like a year and a half. As you can see, like this is the aftermath of shooting it so many times. Look at that, that's messed up. But it just happens. I didn't spend a single dollar on this, which is really nice. If you need a Target or something, you can probably go to like some furniture store and ask them if they have any cardboard laying around. Or you can just buy one off of Amazon. That's probably the easiest way. Okay, so we're gonna do some test shots just to show you guys how it looks to shoot a bow. Right now I'm sitting about 10 to 15 yards from the target. And I'm gonna aim for the dead center. You can see like to the left of the blue hexagon in the center of the box. Alright, so first thing is, you want to grab it, keep your hands loose, and then twist your wrist so that you can see your hand, back of your hand, and pull back, lock it into position with the jawbone and the kisser button touching the bottom of my lip. And then you look through the sight. And come on, let's see where I hit. Okay, went there. So you can actually see that the arrow usually would stick out. You'd see the little fletchings at the back of the arrow, but it actually went all the way through. You can see it came all the way over here. So what I'm gonna do is, since this thing is pretty degraded, it's pretty easy to take out, and only a little bit of scuffing to the fletchings. But the entrance was about here. I think it was this hole right here. So I aimed right there, and it went a little bit up, maybe like an inch. Okay, so test shot number 2. Okay, so this is test shot number 2. Come on the side and show them. First off, hold it parallel to the ground, then put your hands loose on the handlebar, pull back until it locks into your jaw, and then touch the kisser button, look through the peep sight, that little like black hole, and try to line up the scope and be as stable as you can. And basically, another thing that I wanted to explain was during the release, when you press the button, right, your hands should come from here, and you shouldn't press the button and then just keep your hand locked there. You shouldn't do that. What you should do instead is draw it to full draw, and then when you release, your hand wants to go, as soon as you press the button, your hand wants to just drop back like this. So like that. I hope in the demonstration that I just did, the shot that I just did, it showed that, at least a little bit. All right, and let's see where it went through. And you can kind of see the center of the box is about here, and it went a little bit to the right. I mean, it happens with archery. You're not going to be completely perfect unless you have insane precision and a high quality bow. A lot of the bows on the market, they cost around like $600. The good quality ones between $400 and $600. But I got this one for I think the market value was $200, but I got it on sale for even cheaper because it was like Black Friday or something. So those are the best. Black Friday is definitely the best time to go and get your bow. Okay, now that we've done a demonstration on how to shoot with proper form, now we have to like kind of tune the bow so that it can be accurate, just like how my bow is. Right now here I have my little brother's bow. It's a lot lighter, like I can just pull it back like this really easily. And there's two different types of tuning, or there's three actually. Number one is paper tuning. And paper tuning is basically when you get a bow, an arrow, you hook it onto the string, and you shoot it through a piece of paper. You shoot the arrow through a piece of paper, and you basically check the knock adjustment. Basically, like, is the arrow going through the paper completely straight, or is it going at it in an angle or something else? Keep the camera normal. Okay, then that's one. Number two is something called bare shaft tuning. Bare shaft tuning is basically you get something like this, which is a bare shaft. It doesn't have any fletching, just like how the old arrow did. And you basically just string it on, and you look through it through a camera, like you record yourself shooting, and you see like how the arrow is shooting off the bow. If it's shooting completely straight, is it like exiting the bow like this? Is it exiting the bow facing upwards, or like something like that? And then the last one is just the normal tuning, where you know that like you'd follow the arrow, or follow the bullet, follow the arrow. So basically you'd adjust your sight, you'd shoot once and then adjust your sight, and you keep like incrementally adjusting it until your shot hits bullseye. Okay, so now we're going to adjust the sight, show you guys how to adjust the sight. And so we have this in here, there's a hole, and at the end of the hole there's an Allen key socket. Hopefully it's showing. And basically what this does is it allows you to change the verticality of the sight. So you can move the sight up or down, the whole like sight housing, this entire sight, including the pins, up and down, just like that. And you'd adjust it based on your need. And then we also have another Allen key spot right here. Basically you would unscrew this and it'd allow you to move your sight left and right horizontally, and then you tighten it. And then also we have these little pins, just like we have pins 1, 2, and 3 from top down. Each of these pins has its own Allen key little like adjustments notches, and you can just unscrew it and then push it down just like however you'd like. Alrighty guys, I hope you guys learned a bunch. If you'd like any more in-depth videos on anything that I explained today, like tuning or form or safety, then I'd be happy to make another video on them. Just let me know in the comments down below, and also leave a like down below. It really helps out. And yeah, thank you. Have a good one, guys.